thank my guardian angel because they were working overtime. And I say they because I know they had to take breaks because I was probably 24/7 at this. Hey beautiful, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, hi, my name is Alexis Jayda and welcome. Today's notification shout out goes to Vanessa. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Te quiero mucho. Thank you so much. If you guys want to be part of the notification squad, all you have to do is just like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment down below. And your comment can possibly be the next notification shout out. This video is probably gonna have a lot of outtakes because these kids, y'all, like, look at this. Look at this. I don't know how many sponges I have, and the baby will still bite them. Just to do it, just like a maña. Like she just has because she gets ansias, you know, like ansias is like, to describe it, it's like like you just have to, you know. But let me know what you guys are doing. If you guys are eating, if you guys are cleaning, if you guys are cruising, if you guys are just chilling with some friends, let me know. Oh, chan chan. I don't open my mouth sometimes when I talk. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I try to do these TikToks and try to like line up my mouth with the audio, and I just can't. And my husband over here freaking doing TikTok como nada, and I'm like, how? Like I can't. He's like, it's because you don't open your mouth, babe. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like I can't even argue with you and call you a pendejo because like you're right. But anyways, thank you guys for understanding me. Let me know what you guys are doing, who you guys are watching me with. Thank you guys for all your love and support. I seriously, you guys are just so freaking amazing. My previous story time, you guys are just so freaking awesome. Me reading the comments, up at night freaking crying, and you guys just make me feel so freaking safe. And when I say this is your guys' home también, it really is. And I just love that we all can get along and we can all just like relate to each other. And it seriously just makes me feel so freaking loved. It's healing my inner child. And I just want to say thank you so freaking much. Thank you so much. You guys, I love you guys with all my freaking heart. I really, really do. So I just want to say thank you guys. This video is continuing with my Nanny series and we are going to get right into it. I am going to do kind of like a bridal look. I have seen your guys' comments because I do read your guys' comments, and you guys have been giving me some really good book recommendations. I will pop them here of what books that I will be picking up. So I want to say thank you so much. And it cracks me up when you guys are like, is she really gonna read this? Because if she did, this is what I'm gonna be recommending. I got you, girl. I read them. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And it really does help me out with YouTube, like the algorithm and all of that. Oh, also, you guys have been asking me about the ads. Like, Alexis, do we have to watch the ads for you to get paid? And I just want to say thank you guys so much. You guys are the freaking real ones in the comments. Like, y'all better be watching these ads because this is how Lex gets paid. Like, watch him. And you guys are like, some of you guys are like, I didn't know that. Like, I'm gonna let him play then. So I just want to say thank you guys so freaking much. Again, you guys are freaking awesome, and I just love the community we've built, and you guys are really like just, I just wish I could squeeze every single one of you guys. Like I really, really do. And if you're having a bad day and you need some good vibes, here's my good vibes, and dame your bad vibes, and we will throw them out. Okay, just only good vibes only. So let's continue this story time, and I'm gonna do a bridal look. I thought I would use this palette. Ooh, it matches. And this is a look that I would probably do that's something like more soft. I don't know why. I always think like of a silver when I think of like my wedding. I don't know why. I wasn't wearing any makeup, I think, when I got married. I don't know. You guys want to see a little flashback of me already getting married? Okay, there you go. But this is what I would wear in this wedding. If we were to get married, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling something like this. So I will link everything down below for you guys. Make sure you guys check it out in the description. Todo will be linked down below in the description. So let's get started, and I am going to begin. I'm gonna shut the heck up. We left off. I'm all excited. Oh, and you guys were right. We need to name my mom's friend because she is reoccurring in the story time. So I'm like, you know what? You're right. Thank you for that recommendation. We will name her, we will name her Tommy. Okay, we will name her Tommy. All right, so I'm all happy. Like, heck yeah, Tommy picked us up. Ooh, chicka bing. Bing, chicka, bing, chicka, bing. I didn't even care that Tommy was cussing me out, calling me this, that. I was just like, let me hear it. I don't care, Tommy. You picked me up. Shut up. You know you love me. You know you love me. And with her, she's bipolar también. So she's like a little hot and cold. There's like sometimes you can play, you know, and then sometimes it's like, I'm gonna beat your ass. So it was very like, She ends up taking me and Skillet back to the house. She is mad, okay? Super mad. And me and Skillet are kind of hungry, okay? We're a little like tipsy, so you know how like when you're kind of tipsy, like you're hungry? And it sounds so stupid saying that because we were literally babies, okay? Babies. A lot of the times when I'm reading this, it's really hard not to like look up at my daughter and just because I just get so mad because I feel like I grew up so fast and knew too much and did too much. And I look at my daughter and like there's that times where she's like a little bit sassy and I'm like, because I'm scared. I am so scared. And I always hear my mom in the back of my head saying, you know how you were such a difficult child? Well, you're gonna get that times 10. But it's like, can't use that against me because I had reason, you know, I had a reason. So we're walking through the house and I tell you, you not, my panza, stomach starts to growl. And it was like one of those like, where you're like, do you need to go to the restroom? Because it was loud. Like I'm telling you, it was loud. Okay. Tommy looks back and is like, what did you take? Because she's kind of like, what the? Because it was loud. Okay. And I feel like moments like that, like the whole house is like quiet. Like all of a sudden the whole house is just like, you can hear the crickets, you can hear the bed, you can hear todo. So I'm like, I'm hungry. And she looks at me and goes, so you go out and you hang out with some freaking thugs and you expect me to feed you? You expect me to reward you? And Skillet, little sassy ass, she got some nerve, you know? So, cause I'm thinking like, yeah, duh, like I'm not gonna ask you to feed me because I did do wrong. No, it's a no. And yeah, like you're rewarding bad behavior. Like, yeah, you're right. So I'm just quiet and Skillet's like, why are you such a bitch? Tommy looks at her and tells her, say it again and I'll pop you in your mouth. Say it again. Just test me. Say it again. Test me. Skillet didn't say it again. And we just stayed quiet. And she tells me, like, there's food in the fridge. You can heat something up. After that, like, get your ass to bed. And that's it. And she's going to be gone first thing in the morning. And I said, okay. So we hit up our little pockets. Got a little soda. You know, I feel like when you're in trouble, do not drink soda. Because it's like, really? And so I was like happy. That was like one of the moments where I felt like a kid because in my eyes, I'm not trying to replace my mom with Tommy, right? But it just felt like how she was scolding me, like this is how my mom should have been scolding me instead of like me feeling like, oh my God, my mom wants to score up with me. She wants to beat my ass. You know what I'm saying? So we have our little soda. We have our little freaking Hot Pocket with our little chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side. We really did. So we were hungry. So we go to the back and we're staying in Tommy's room. We go to the back, put it on the TV. We put her at volume 5 because I didn't want her busting open the door and being like, the f are you doing? Like you're in trouble. What the f are you doing? So I don't want to irritate her, right? So volume 5, eating our snacks and we're like looking at each other kind of laughing and like, oh my God. Like, I can't believe that happened. And just kind of reminiscing on how Beavis and Butthead kind of were, you know, they scared us. And the whole time we were just repeating, like, we could have died. We could have died. And I'm like, yeah, like, we really could have. Like, that was scary. I can't believe we got away. So we're talking. My mom's friend, Tommy, is in the sala, the living room, with her friend. And we're kind of just like laughing and we can kind of hear that like things are turning up in the living room. So then we start turning up the volume to like volume 30 because we're like, ooh, this is gross. So me and her, since the volume's up a little bit higher, we start talking a little bit more because we were kind of trying to like whisper because I didn't want Tommy be by the door just like listening and be like, you did what? With who? So we were just trying to keep it like as quiet as we possibly could. Me and Skillet were just talking about what was the next thing, what was I gonna do? How did the Peaches message me? No, all of that. So I'm like telling her like, I don't even wanna go back. Like I keep having like all these signs of not to go back. Like, I don't know why I can't just not. And it was because even though it was toxic, it was kind of like a toxic love environment because they were nice to me sometimes. And I wanted that. I craved that. I craved that attention. I craved just to feel like I belonged. Even though they were treating me horrible, they were horrible people. I wanted that place of feeling like I belonged because I feel like I didn't fit in anywhere. I didn't fit in with my stepdad because of the what happened and how he abused me. Like, I didn't fit in. And even before that took place, he always made me feel like the stepchild. Always made me feel like that. Like I knew like I could not do this or play with him like this because of this. I knew like if I wanted something, I had to send my brother to go do it, because if I were to ask, it was a no. Like I always felt like that. I always felt like the black sheep when it came to my cousins and stuff, because they were so smarter, they were beautiful, and I was just like the ugly duckling. And I felt like whatever it was, I did not belong. With friends, I felt like I was always the butt of the joke. I didn't know what was going on. There were so many stupid things that I just said, because I didn't know, and everyone would be laughing like, ha, and I was like, what? And they're like, they would like set me up, you know, or be like, huh, Alexis, like you like to do this, huh? A word that I didn't even know, and I'd be like, oh yeah. And they'd be like, told you, like laughing, and I'd be like, because I didn't know, you know. I always felt like that. Like there were some people like I got to get along with, like Skillet and stuff like that, but I feel like we were the outcast. Like I never felt like I belonged like in like a group. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like even now sometimes like when I go into places, like I always get the stink eye, and I'm like, I always try to change my face. Like I always go in like this. I always go in looking constipated. I always just feel like that. Oh, like recently, let me just sidetrack real quick, right? My kids had some testing that they needed to get done. Took them to the school where they needed to go. I walk in right away. I always just get this face. Like if I don't belong there, or like what the F is she doing here? I always act nice. Hi, we're here because we have to go here, here, here. Because I have all my kids, right? And they all are in different grades. So I tell them, like, I have to go here, here, and here. And like, okay. And in my head, I'm already popping off. Like, what the fuck you looking around for, bitch? The fuck is so confusing. Do people not come in here? Because this was all, like, we had so many emails where it said, like, all students do this, this, this. So what the fuck looking around for, bitch? Like, what the fuck is so confusing? Like, why the fuck you look in my head, right? And then the other part is like, chill. She's probably like, dang, she has all these kids, or what the heck, like, because I don't fit in, okay? Because I don't fit in with the other moms that were behind me and how they looked and how they dressed and stuff. There's sometimes I dress up, but I don't dress like the moms that you see at a Kohl's ad, okay? I don't dress like that. I dress with a hoodie, with maybe some joggers that are very like skin tight. It doesn't matter how I dress, okay? But they're just like, okay. And so go sit over there. So we sit over there because we're like, Mom, like, are we in the wrong place? Because how the freaking girl's looking at me. So they're over here questioning, like, are we in the right department, Mom? I'm like, yeah, baby, like, it's fine. So then we get taken to another room and they're like, hey, you guys can come over here. She opens the door. She's like, you guys can come over here. Closes the door. And in my head, I'm like, you really couldn't hold it? Like, you really couldn't hold it. Like, okay, that's rude. So we get up, I hold the door for the kids, and she's like going like this. And I'm like, we're going. Like, we just barely told us. We're getting up. We're going. Because she's like, I don't like when anybody tries to rush my kids, rush me. Stop it. It's rude. It is so rude. And I hate when I feel like when I have to defend myself like this and my kids like are right there. I feel like sometimes it comes off like I'm being super aggressive, but I'm not. I'm just talking or giving you the same energy, and it's always like, why are you so loud? But I'm not. I'm just a very passionate bitch. So we go to the other room. We see the, you know, where they have to go testing, and I'm talking to the lady, and I felt like it was me and like 6 other moms. I felt again like if I was technically in school, but like in school all over again, because I was like the odd one out. All of them were sitting at a table, and there were some chairs on the side, and I just looked. And I just sat right there. I was like, okay. Another mom walks in and she's like looking around like where to sit. I'm like, you can sit with us. Yeah, we have a spot right here. You can sit with us. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Like they didn't do that to me. Like, oh my God. And the whole time, you guys, I promise I was smiling, okay? I walked in like, and they're just like, I hate it. I hate it. I freaking hate it. Okay, but anyways, back to the story, okay? So me and Skillet are just talking. You really shouldn't go back. Like, just like try to do all cuts, like cut everything, cut everybody. Cut the ex, cut Joe, like for sure cut Joe. And if that means cutting off his mom, cut off his mom. Because that's gonna be a tie where you're constantly gonna try to like always just reconnect with her. And he's gonna be like right there. And I'm like, you're right. Because it's true. Like, it's so true. Like, I'm always going to want to be reconnecting with her, but it's going to be always hard because he's going to be right there. Like, that's just weird. It's kind of like, it's just hard because if you really think about it, it's like when someone in the family, like an in-law, okay? So it's like, I don't know, because I already told my brother, like, if you do anything to my sister-in-law, like, I'm gonna still talk to her, like, regardless. So I can't even use that as a good one. What's a good analogy? Let me know so you guys can help me out because I'm like stuck right now. So as we're talking, I swear the ex's ears were ringing or something because I get a private call. This was his thing to do, is to call private because he had nothing better to do, you know? Like his mom probably was like, sorry, it's not time for feeding or something, because I always got those freaking calls. Have you ever stayed up so late or so much has been going on where you start becoming like delusional? I was feeling like that. Like I felt like I was on a high to the point where I was kind of trying to connect the dots of like, did Beavis and Butthead like put something in my drink? Is that why they didn't want us to leave? Like I started overthinking everything, okay? To the point where I kind of freaked myself out too much, where I was wanting my mom. And I was cool with Tommy, but not cool enough to be like, hey, I'm scared, because she had that type of love where it was tough love, where it was buck up and shut up, because she didn't want to hear it. And I knew that if I went into the sala, the living room, where she was having her fun with her dude, she would be pissed. Like, I had to go pick you up. I got my own kids. You're eating my food, and now you're cock blocking me? She would have been pissed. So I was just kind of like freaking out, just kind of got quiet. I never understood what this term meant when people would say like you are like disconnecting. What's called? What is it called? I know the word. What is it called? Dissociating? I can't think of the name, but it's like you can be having fun, and then out of nowhere you just like disconnect yourself. So I didn't know that there was a term for that. And so I just remember me and Skillet talking, and I was just like freaking out. And then it kind of was just like, you're talking, ha 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 ha, and you go, and like everything just lowers, and you're kind of just trying to just like, you go numb. So I would do that a lot. And I remember Skillet at times just like kind of like shaking me, like, what the, like, what's wrong? Like, we were just having fun. And I would hate it. I feel like I'd kill the mood, you know? And so I just told her, like, I'm just getting tired. Like, I think now it's just finally hitting me, like, I'm tired. You know what it feels like? Have you ever worked out and then you kind of just like, you're pooped? That's all you can give. Like, I'm done. Like, you have so much energy and you're just like, that's it. Like, it's just like, it literally just feels like that, where it's just like, damn, like, for real. And it's just like, yeah, like it's gone. It's gone. Dissociation, that's the name. Dissociation, that's what it is. I tell her that, like, yeah, I'm just ready for bed. So we ended up going to the restroom. We showered, and we didn't shower together, but she was just outside of the shower. And I always did this with my other friend Biscuit too. Like, you have to be there where I can see you so that nothing can happen to me due to like messed up stuff, you know? She's in there with me. Again, she's like in the toilet area. I'm in the shower. She can't see me, and if she were to see me, I never thought anything of like it being like, oh, that's a no or whatever, because I was just so comfortable with Skillet. Even though she was such like a bad friend at times, I felt comfortable with her. Why am I telling you all this? Because it's gonna matter. So we get out of the restroom, and we are met with Tommy with her hand crossed like this, and she's like looking at me, and she's looking at Skillet, and she's like, so when did this start? So she asks us like, when did this start? And I'm confused. Like, I didn't know what she was talking about. For a minute, I thought Tommy over here drinking too. So I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it didn't even register because I was just tired, tipsy, all these emotions where I'm like, and like, I'm mad at myself for the situation that had happened earlier. So I'm like looking at her and I'm like, what? She's like, when did this start? Like, pissed, you guys, pissed. And Skillet looks at her, looks at me, because now Skillet moves. She's like, huh? Because she's even confused, like, what? Like, what is she talking about, right? Because I came out, my hair's wet, it's in a toalla, a towel, and Skillet's like fully dressed and is like, huh? And Tommy's like, huh? Like, why are you guys acting stupid? When did this start? Is this why you guys are always together? This is why, like, all the stupid fights, like, what? And then when she said like together, I was like, what? I was like, no, I was just taking a shower and she was in there with me, so I wouldn't be alone. Why? Like, it's okay for you to be alone. Like, why are you acting weird? Like, why you do this weird shit? And so she is pissed, and I'm like, I didn't find it weird. And it's so hard because like, I know I have a mouthy face. bitch, what? And atone sometimes when I am hit with like stupid shit, you know? Like you say something stupid and my face is going to read and redirect as like a stupid expression, like, bitch, what the? So I look at her and I'm like, I've always done that. She tells me pretty much like not to play her. She's like, don't play me. Don't play me. If this is something going on, then she can't be over here spending the night. You guys can't be alone because I'm not gonna be part of this. Do you hear me? And so my immediate reaction was, are you homophobic? Okay. And she's like she was like pissed and she's like, no, I kissed girls all the time when I was in high school, but I'm not gonna be part of this if this is what you guys are gonna be doing. And then Skillet was like, okay, but we're not. And I'm like, yeah, we're not. So it was weird. She tells us to go to our room. She said, go to bed right now. We're like, okay. So we go to sleep. We wouldn't cuddle, but we would lay next to each other because she's my friend. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that deep. And if it was, that's not your business. That is my business. Maybe it is your business because it's under your house, but if it didn't give me that vibes of like, it's just because your house, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, and we don't even talk. We don't even talk of like, oh my God, like she crazy. Like we were just like silent because of like how loud she was. Like she was loud. Like I'm pretty sure the whole apartment complex could hear her because of how loud she was. Like she made me feel like I did something wrong. But in my head, I'm like, I know I didn't do nothing wrong. Like she's just tripping because like, what? The next day we wake up and I just get ready because I'm like, we're not gonna be here. Especially how Tommy tripped and stuff. Like it's just weird. I don't want her to be weird to Skillet. I get really defensive of like my friends, and it's a love and a hate because of how many times I've been screwed over in friendships where I feel like I always do the most for people and I expect them to do the most for me. And when someone that I love close to me, even if we're not blood or not, is hurting and I have like jumped through hoops and defended a certain person, and then when it comes to like the same thing back, to see people stay silent, it's kind of like hitting me differently. It's a lot. It's a love-hate thing. I don't know how people can find people who are freaking ride or dies like that, because bitch, where are you? Because I feel like I have ran into a few people who I thought, and I'm just like, I feel like I look like a pendeja estúpida because I ride so hard, and it's like, for what? And then when I talk to you guys are like, you do that because that's what you want, and you haven't had anyone do that for you. So you're like, where are you? Like you're trying to like, you know, build that into somebody, hoping that they would reciprocate it back. And I'm waiting. Like I am waiting. Like, is there a handbook I need to read? We need a therapy sesh. Again, we need a therapy sesh about that. Anyways, so we get up and I'm like kind of pissed off now because I felt like Skillet was disrespected. I hate this about me because I will do it even now. I feel like when someone close to me is disrespected and you try and talk to me, I feel I cannot play it off. Like you will know I'm pissed off. Like you will know I feel some way, even though it has nothing to do with me. And I've been working on it, okay? I've been there's been some situations where I stay out of it because I'm like, it has nothing to do with me. But the person inside me was like, oh, it don't matter. That's your person. And it's like, I know. So it's really hard. And if you know any tips or tricks, share them down below. It's really hard because when I read and reminisce a lot too of how I was with certain people, I'm like, why? Like there's a certain friend who I rode hard for. Like I'm telling you, when her boyfriend went crazy on her, boom, I was there. When she went somewhere really far and she needed a ride that was 2 hours out of my way, fought with my babe and I was like, I'm gonna go get her because that's my girl. Boom. Anything she needed, I don't care what it was, I was trying, I was there, I helped her, yada, 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 okay? Did me dirty and wanted to apologize. And when she told me that, like, she took me for granted, she didn't offend me either. Like, I got a story time about that one too, because recently I ran into the male who it involved. But anyways, I hate that about me. I have been learning to not to do that as much. And of course, when it comes to my kids, yeah, I'm on their side all day, every day. I don't give it a blick, okay? But I need to learn how to not do it when it comes to other people, or treat them how it is, okay? I'm gonna look on your resume where it's like, okay, is your rate of a friendship, how good of a friend you are to me, a 5 out of 5 or a 2 out of 5? So I wake up, Tommy's in the kitchen already, and she is like, you hungry? And my face was straight up, no. Even though I should have been grateful that she picked me up, Something bad could have happened. I wasn't thinking about that because I was livid. Like, I was livid, y'all. Skillet wants to come up next to me and be like, yeah, I can eat. Like, nothing. And I'm just like, how are you still not mad? How the f are you not mad? How is it only I'm mad? So I get pissed and I look at her ugly, y'all. I give her the ugliest look and I'm like, cause I'm just like, you're really like, you're gonna take that? You're gonna act brand new. And so she tells Skillet like, okay, sit down. Skillet sits down, starts grubbing. I think Tommy could feel that I was like pissed off about how she acted. So she starts talking about how she don't care if we have anything going on. She just don't want under in her house. And she keeps trying to bring up how she had her interactions with females and how she loves females. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. I don't care. Cause I'm mad. Cause I'm like, I don't want to hear this or that, because it really rubbed me. The way she said it just pissed me off. And I was just like, okay. As like I'm drinking my water bottle, right? Like, okay. Skillet's over here scarfing down the food and I'm just looking at her like disappointed. Cause I'm like, how are you gonna eat the food when she's over here saying that and you roll that way? Like, how come you're not disrespecting? I'm disrespecting for you. So she finishes up. Tommy asks us like, what are you guys gonna do today? Do you guys need to ride anywhere? Like, being overly nice, where I'm like, she knows that she was disrespectful. She knows. So Skillet says that she doesn't have any plans. And I tell Skillet, I'm like, well, like, let's go to the mall or something. The mall was a spot back then, okay? You would just go to the mall just to freaking window shop and not get anything. Well, I would. People are gonna be like, what you mean? We? What's this we? Who you got in your pocket? Yeah. So I was like, let's go to the mall. And she's like, okay. Tommy asks if we need a ride or anything. Before I could say no, Skillet was like, yeah, that'd be cool. Again, I look at Skillet and I'm just like, you so fake. You so fake. So I'm mad because she said yeah. So she's like, all right, well, get ready and I'll take y'all. And I'm like, okay. So I go straighten my hair and Skillet comes around and she's like, you mad? And I'm like, yeah, I'm mad. Like, she over here got all crazy last night and you over here acting like nothing. And she's like, well, it's fine. She's like, she's old. They have different views. And so I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm like, it makes me mad and how you're just cool with it. Like, whatever. So she's like, Alexis, stop. And I'm like, no, you stop. So we're kind of like arguing, but she's like close to my face. I'm like, no, you stop. I'm like, so I'm like mad at her. And Tommy walks by the door and she's like looks at us. And of course it looks like we're a couple freaking like arguing, like she's in my face. Like I could smell her breath. Skillet licks her lip. Okay. And it looked like she was going to come forward, you know? But she wasn't. It was just like, it's just like bad timing. I'm telling you, like coincidence happened. She's like, what? You're tripping. And she's like moving forward, right? And Tommy walks by, she's like, like that. And I just look at her and I'm like, what? I was like, So I walk out into the living room and her and Skillet are talking. I don't know about what. I don't know what she talks to Skillet about. I don't ask Skillet. Skillet comes out a couple minutes later and I wasn't even trying to like listen what she was trying to tell her. I was just so annoyed because I was like, you fake. Like I was just mad. So Tommy comes out and she's like, you know what? You guys can walk. Like, I don't want to take y'all yet. And I don't know if you guys want to wait. And I was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. So me and Skillet, we ended up walking. I'm telling y'all, I walked so much when I was younger. Like I'm over here trying to walk 3-4 miles and I'm like, oh yeah, if you guys joined my live, thank you guys so much. We went live when I was on the treadmill and it alerted you guys. Some of you guys woke up the next day and you guys had 2 videos to click on and then it said now deleted and you guys were like, why did you delete it? Because it was just a live of me on the treadmill and I didn't want to keep it on the channel. Like, yeah, so yeah, I'm sorry about that. But anyways, so we're walking and she's like telling me, what if we run into the ex? Because I'm telling you, everybody and their mom would go to the mall just to be there. Post it up. For what? For nothing. Like, for nothing. So I'm like, so what? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm so done. Like, if you would have seen how he was acting, like, I'm just so done with everything. And she's like, no, yeah, like, I don't blame you, but I don't want him to pull you to the side and tell you that he needs to talk to you or anything like that. And I'm like, that wouldn't happen. Like, you're dumb. No, you're dumb. We hit a bus stop and it takes us the rest of the way. Before we go to the mall, we go to the McDonald's. We finish eating and I noticed that Skillet's kind of acting like a little weird. She was on her phone and I noticed that the vibe had kind of changed and I asked her like, what's up? She's like, nothing. Like, I'm talking to so-and-so, which was someone that she was talking to at the time. And I'm like, okay, like what's the deal? Like what's going on? She's like, he kind of wants to hang out tonight. That's why I was asking like what you wanted to do, like if you had plans or if you wanted to tag along. And I'm like, well, tell him you can't hang out. Cause like I wanted her to hang out with me. It was very selfish of me too, because there'd be times where she wanted to hang out, but I couldn't bring her or I didn't invite her. And so she's like, no, like, why don't you just come? And I'm like, because I don't like who you hang out with. She would hang out with elder men. And I always felt like if I continued to hang out with her and these older men, I probably would have been hooked up with one, just because some of these men, and it doesn't sound right me saying it, but I need you to understand the mindset that I was at that age. Some of these men weren't ugly, okay? So it makes it really hard for a teenage girl to be like, he cute, and not think, this is a grown-ass man, what are you doing? This is disgusting. This is disgusting. I'm trying to like, cause I feel like people can like twist my words, be like, hey, that's gross. Yeah, it was gross, but I'm trying to tell you at that age where it wasn't, I feel like people think like predators are always like ugly. Not all of them are ugly. Some where you are so young and like naive and like you don't think like your age, it's really hard to tell yourself like this is a no, like this is not okay, because you're like, oh my god, he's so dreamy, you know what I mean? And I feel like even young girls do it now, where they're like, oh my god, Zac Efron, or oh my god, this person, or oh my god, Edward, or oh my god, Jacob, or you know, it's really, it's like, so imagine meeting a predator who is like, and it's really hard to like tell yourself like this is a no, this is not right, like this is a sick person, like why is he talking to me? Why isn't he talking to someone his own age? Wanna know why? Because it's easier to manipulate a child versus a grown-ass woman who knows better. I felt like if I would have continued to hang out with her, it would have went left real quick, because these sickos were really good at talking and making you feel like, what? People are crazy, like you're so mature for your age, and play on that and think that like them complimenting you and telling you that you're so mature for your age, that you're gonna be like, yeah. And a lot of you guys understood what I was saying, because when I had talked about this in my previous story time, a lot of you guys are like, yeah, like I was someone who got with someone a lot older than me, 15, 20 years older than me, and it's not okay. It's not. And I feel like if the predator is attractive, people will be more likely to chalk it up as it being okay because that person is foreign, okay? And it's like, it's not okay. Look at the age. Look at the age. And I feel like only people are so what is it called? Vain. Is that what it's called? Is it called vain? Where if the predator is gross and like you picture like scum, then you're like, that's nasty. But if you shine the freaking turd, you're like, okay, it's okay. Like he's cute. It's okay. It's not okay. It's still gross because of the age. Like it's still gross. It's still not okay. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. And ooh, I freaking pissed off some of my family members about the pervert in the family. Leave me alone. I'm talking to my FAMBAM. I'm not talking to y'all. Leave me alone. Okay? Leave me alone. And you guys are not even, it's not even valid what you guys want to talk to me about. Like, that was gross. That was gross. I'm always trying to validate freaking cochinos. Like, that's disgusting. I can't even say who raised you, because look who raised you. So I tell her and stuff like, no, like it's cool, like if you don't want to hang out, it's fine, I'll find something to do. She's like, no, I want you to go with me, like come on, like just hang out with me. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to any of the guys that he's gonna bring or whatever, because this person who was in her life for quite some time was so much older than her. He was a family member's friend, okay, that they went to work together at a factory. And this family, it was okay. It was okay to do that. They didn't say anything bad. Like they literally seen her as a problem child. So anything that she got into or anything that happened, it was like, well, she wanted it. Like she knows what she's doing. And like they did not care. Like we could like drink with her family and they didn't care if we were like so intoxicated, throwing up everywhere, our words slurring, like they thought it was hilarious, they thought it was funny, like it was, that's not okay. Anyways, she finally talks me into it, and I'm like, okay, fine, like I'll go, like let's go. So she's like, okay, but we have to get cute. And I'm like, I told you, I'm not gonna do anything. She's like, fine, can you get me cute? We go back to her place and we start getting her like all dressed up and all cute, and we had no business at all. So we go to her house, get her ready, get her all dressed up, freaking smoking cigarettes in the house like nothing, like it didn't matter. Just having a good old time. She tells me that we can still go to the mall, walk around, and just like have fun. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like let's just go. Like I want some pretzels. I love the pretzels there. I still go to the same place for the pretzels, like my favorite. I'm still getting like calls and messages from like the ex and stuff, and I'm not responding. So he's messaging me like, are you really mad about what happened? Like, are you serious right now? And didn't talk to him. So I had blocked Joe and I had blocked Bubbles. So I wasn't even getting messages from them. I was just getting messages from the ex. Peaches weren't messaging me at all. The one who did message me was Baltimore, and she told me that she needed to talk to me and that whenever I had time to reach out to her if I wanted to, but that she really needed to talk to me about something. I just kind of like read it and just kind of discarded it, because at this point I'm like, I quit. I'm not working for them anymore. I quit. Skillet's finishing getting ready, does her eyeliner and puts on the tightest of clothes, puts her chichis together. You know how you know that trick where you put on a really tight bra and just because we didn't know about push-ups back then. What we would do is get this freaking tiniest bra and do our own little push-ups where you can see the little poof off our shirts, right? She's finishing getting ready, and then we're like, okay, let's go to the mall. So we ended up going to the mall, got the pretzels. We literally just walked around, went into Victoria's Secret, which we had no business in Victoria's Secret at all. Like, at all. Like, what are you looking at? Why are you looking at the lingerie for? Like, how old are you again? Like, what are you doing? Like, get the F out. Like, they should have an age limit for this kind of stuff, because, well, maybe just me. Like, I needed an age limit for things. Like, I needed someone to be like, no, because then I would be like, oh, I can't, you know? Who knows? Maybe I would have, maybe I'm not. We're walking around, and we're kind of just like walking around with our bag. And with, I still do it to this day, with my nacho cheese, and I kept going like this and like walking around like eating, like we were so cool, right? I see a group of boys. As soon as I seen one of the boys, my freaking heart fell to my culo, you guys, my culo, because it was the ex and his friends, right? So my heart fell to my butt. I literally have the pretzel in my mouth, and I'm like, I am going to choke if I try and swallow this. So I'm literally like freaking out doing this motion, because I'm like, I don't know, like I freeze up right away. I just go back to the incident of me feeling like I did in the car, where everything just felt like freaking out. Skillet can see him and tells me like, you good? And I'm like, yeah, let's go this way. So we go into like a Hot Topic because I do not want to see him. I'm freaking out. I'm like, So we go into the Hot Topic. We can hear the noise of that group come into Hot Topic. So me and her, we go towards the back, which is the no-no section for kids. But in Hot Topic, they don't tell you that. No one ever tells you like, don't come over here. Like, what are you doing, you know? So we go to that area, and she starts looking at stuff, and she's like, you're good, like don't freak out, because I'm literally having like a panic attack, and I don't want these pretzels no more. Like, I can't eat. Like, my stomach literally feels like it's like in a knot, and I cannot eat. I still have the pretzel in my mouth, where I'm like chewing it in chunks in my mouth, where I'm like, I don't know how I was doing it, holding it to one side of my cheek and just doing like little bits, where I am feeling like I'm gonna vomit, I'm gonna throw up. What if he just walks up to me like nothing happens, and like I'm just like, so she's looking at toys, and I literally feel like I'm not there. I literally feel like everything else is happening around me and I'm not there. Like, I literally feel like I'm outside of my body and I'm not there. Still have the things, still have my nacho cheese, and I'm like freaking out. Heart is in my stomach. Okay, it's wanting to process to mi culo, and I'm like, my mouth is watery all over again. And this boy comes behind me, grabs me by my hips, pulls me closer, and puts his chin on my shoulder. And I literally feel like my whole body just went hot. Like just hot, but not even like a good hot, you guys, where it's like, where you're like, oh, that warm, tingly sensation. No, it felt like I urinated myself. Have you ever felt like that sensation where you're like, oh, like I peed? That, where like you feel gross, you feel nasty. Like anyone who has peed themselves, you don't feel like, oh, that's a good sensation. Like I can't even talk. So imagine, I hate saying imagine now because someone was like, can you not say imagine? Like it makes me feel really gross and I don't want to imagine that. Well, I'm sorry. Like I'm sure in my experience, like that's just how I talk. Like I don't know. Like I'm trying to get you to relate. So pardon me, like I don't know how to talk. Like to make you, like I don't know. Like and I don't want to be sorry for saying like how, I don't want to apologize, but like I feel like it's mean. So imagine somebody hugging you from behind and having their head on your shoulder, and you're literally looking at your friend and you're trying not to just go like freak out. You don't go in that mode. And for those who do go in that mode, kudos to freaking you, because at that time I could not. And I get comments of like, how come you didn't fight back? Like my ex would beat on me and I would fight back, because not all of us have that strength at that time, babe. And some of us are not there. I didn't start hitting back until I got, when was it? I didn't start hitting back until like, I hit back a few times here and there, but it would just only make things worse. Maybe we shouldn't say things like that. Like maybe we shouldn't say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Because it's hard, and everyone, it goes through things differently, and the way their brain does things is differently. We don't write the same, we don't talk the same, everything is completely different. There's a lot of times where I get mad at myself where I'm like, how come you did not? Because at that time it wouldn't have worked out how I thought, or it would have made things worse, or I just wasn't strong enough at the time. I just wasn't. There was some times where I did fight back, and even though I would like block the F out and just, it would make things worse. Sometimes there'd be punishment for it. Sometimes he would get scared and be like, what the fuck? Sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. I didn't start really fighting back and towards the end where I left him. That's when like our faces, they matched, where he had to tell people that like he this kind of fight, because the same way he left my face, I would leave his face también. Whether he went to sleep and he thought I forgot, putazos way. Yeah, I wanted to, but I couldn't, okay? At that point in time. Freaking out, Skillet can read my face and is like, you good, babe? And I'm like, yeah. Because I don't know if she didn't want to make a scene, or because he was with one of the people that she was messing with too. So he's there and he's like, what, you can't say hi? As he's like, what, you can't say hi? And I'm like, hey. And he's like, you're gonna start? No. He like turns me around and like hugs me like if like he like liked me, you know, like he loved me or something. And so I just let him hug me, and he's like, why are you embarrassing me like that? Like, why are you acting like that? Well, all his friends are right there. The one friend that was messing with Skillet at the time, we'll call him Robert. So Robert was messing with Skillet, friends with benefits, right? So he goes up to her, they hug and they kiss on the cheek, whatever. And he's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? I just kind of like shut down. His friends are like looking at me kind of like, you know, like what the her problem, like why is she acting stupid? And one of the friends is like, she ain't happy to see you, homie, like let's just go, like she acting funny. And so he looks at me and he's like, oh, you good? You wanna go see a movie or something? Like talking to me like if we didn't just have this incident. And I'm like, I was like, no, like I'm mad at you. And I said like, I'm mad at you. He pulls me closer, he has his fingers in my pant belt, pulls me closer, and is like, what'd you say? And I'm like, I'm mad at you. I kind of make eye contact with him because I feel like, oh, I'm gonna be in trouble. So I'm like, I'm mad at you. And then he's like, why are you mad at me? Like, and I was like, really? Like, you didn't just hit me? Like, what are you talking about? So I was talking like this so like no one else can really hear and I can't really be loud. Like, why were you hiding your phone? Like, tries to make about the phone situation, and like I kind of just push away. Skillet sees and it's just like, hey, let her go. Like, she don't want to talk to you. Like, you know what you did, and get away. And so his friends kind of see how, you know, Skillet's getting kind of rowdy. Robert is like, hey, let her go. Tells the ex to let me go. The ex looks at him and he's like, what? He's like, let her go. Like, she ain't trying to talk to you. Like, stop. Like, you look weird. Like, stop being corny. He just walks out, and they're like, oh, se enojó, like, oh, he got mad, because even his own friends would see like the little like bitch fits that he would throw. Like when he would feel like embarrassed, or like they would tell him, like they would punk this dude. And so they're like, oh, se no quiero llorar, que like, you know, he wants to cry, because like how he walked away like all mad, and you would see it on his face. Like when he felt stupid, you could see it on his face. So Robert brings over Skillet, like he has his hand over her like that. He's like, so what y'all trying to do? His freaking hand all up on her boob, like if we were grown or something. Like, oh my God. So like I Skillet, and she's like all happy, and she's like, oh, like we're just like walking around. I'm gonna go hang out with my friend later on. He's like, well, why don't you go hang out with me? And she's like, no, like I want to hang out with this friend. And he's like, oh, you like this friend more than me? So they were being kind of cute with each other, whatever. And I'm just sitting there still in shock, like, oh my God. So I grabbed my phone out because they're being cute with each other, and all the other friends had left to go, you know, wipe my ex's ass or something. So I'm just sitting there, and she's like talking to him. So I'm like, I'm gonna get on my phone. I get on my phone, and I would block and unblock the ex. I would block and unblock Cho, because I was so addicted to this toxic lifestyle that I would think stuff like this was normal. It is not normal, and it's really hard to break out of that toxicity. And you think that it's normal for people to like do that. So you think like, oh, it's normal. Oh my God, he loves me. Oh my God, he hates me. Oh my God, he loves me. He's doing this. It's very hard to break out of. Like it is. So I was blocking him, unblocking him, and I get a message, and he's like, can we just talk? Like, I'm sorry. I don't like when you're mad at me. Like, I don't know why I get like that. Like my dad was like this, and I don't want to be like this. And he would always play the dad card because his dad always had a short fuse. I hate that argument when people are like, well, my dad was a piece of shit, so I'm a piece of shit. No, do better, because you already know what you don't want to be. Like, no. Like, I really hate that freaking stupid ass argument. Like, so Robert and Skillet, they keep talking and looking through the store, kissing as we're walking, and I'm just like jealous because I'm like, I want that. And so things like that too, it's really hard to be strong because you'll see other people in love, or not even in love, but it's just like a thing, right? You'll see other people being cute with each other, and you will tolerate the toxicity, the toxics, because you want that. Even if it's for a moment, you want that because you want it. You want that, even if it's like the wrong person. So they're being cute, and I was like trying to be like positive and like, good for you. We're walking, we still have Robert, we're checking out stores, and he's pretty all right. Like he's pretty okay, like whatever. Like I don't really, it's just one of those things, like it's whatever. They're being cute with each other, they're kissing each other, whatever. I'm unblocking and unblocking the ex. Like he'll say something and then I'll block it, and then I'll go back again to see if he wrote anything again. And he's pretty much just like, we need to talk, like let's just do something. Like Skillet and Robert are doing something, like let me tag along. And I'm like, no. So Robert's saying that they're gonna have like a little kickback. Back in the day, I feel like we had so many parents who either were working all the time, so they couldn't really like supervise what was going on, didn't care, or wanted to be part of like the cool crowd with the kids. He's telling Skillet like, come on, let's go to the kickback. Like, I miss you. I haven't seen you forever. She's like, Robert, shut up. You have my number. You could have hit me up. And then he's like, but it's so damn hard, man. Like, you're so mean. And she was kind of mean, but didn't validate it, whatever. He ends up convincing her to go to his little kickback, right? So his mom's gonna pick him up, and he's like, come on, like, can you come later? And she's like, I mean, I guess. And she's like looking at me. I'm sitting there pissed off, jealous that my friend got a date, and I'm just like, but I didn't let it show. I wasn't being like stupid and pouty either, right? So I was feeling kind of jealous, but I was like, go best friend, at the same time inside, you know? So his mama picks him up, and he's like, no, like for real, like I really want to see you, so like make sure you come, okay? And he's like, and you too, Lex, like come on, like you can have fun, like forget him. He's like, he's chilling, like he just put up a front, like he's chilling, he has friends, he's chilling. And I'm like, thanks, like that doesn't make me feel better. So pretty much telling me like, he got hoes, you're good, don't worry, don't feel bad, he's good, you know? I feel stupid. And he's like, no, for real, like convince Skillet. We're walking out, his mom's picking him up, he freaking plants a big ol' kiss on Skillet, big ol' kiss, grabs her culo, everything. And I'm like, the mom's not even saying anything, you should just like, hurry up, Robert, hurry up. And I'm like, so he takes off, and she's just like, Whew. She's like, oh my gosh, they're dripping. I'm like, you're disgusting. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. So I asked her, I'm like, okay, so what's the plan? Like, are we gonna hang out with this dude or are we gonna hang out with that one? And she's like, why do you even care to hang out with the other one? And I'm like, I don't. Like, I just want to know, like, what are we gonna do? Because I felt like she probably thought like I didn't want her to have a good time with Robert, but I was just curious, like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? Because I need to plan my anxiety talks of like what way we're gonna go, right? This bitch was like, we're gonna do both. And I'm like, bitch, what? Where is my nail? She says we're gonna do both. How? We're gonna do both. I'm like, all right, I don't even care. And she's like, are you okay? Like, I can't believe he came up like nothing. And I'm like, I know, like, he's so stupid. She's like, yeah, I think we all got that. He's freaking dumb. I'm like, right. So we start walking and we catch the bus and we're going back to her place because she needs to refresh. And now since we're gonna go to 2 places, she needs to get ready, like ready. I'm like, all right, bet. So her friend who was older is gonna pick us up. So he picks us up, asked us like, are you guys hungry? You guys wanna do anything? Whole time I'm like thinking, I hope he doesn't do anything. Hope he doesn't kill us because he is so much older than us. No business. We had no business. And this is how Skillet would get her extra monies. So he's taking us to go clothes shopping for Skillet, and we go to a store and she's like getting clothes and she's like trying them on. Now, people probably didn't see this as bad because they probably thought he was her dad. They didn't see it as bad because they're probably like, oh, this nice gentleman is taking his daughters shopping, even though I didn't get nothing because you look like you got caca over your face. I was like, no. I didn't think the pigmentation was gonna be this good. Oh my goodness. So I don't want to get anything because I was like, that's gonna come as strange attached, and I am not gonna get attached to that man. So takes her shopping, she gets some of her stuff, and he tells us that if we wanted to go over to hang out with his friends for a little bit. She already had told him yeah, so it pretty much was just like a refresher. He was reminding her, like, remember what you said, just so we're clear. So we go over to his house and he has friends. And remember I told you in your head as very young you think like, oh, he's cute, right? Which is no, that is a predator. But that's not what you're thinking. You're thinking, damn, he fine. Okay, that's what you're thinking. We get there and there is this gentleman who is very nice to me. Friend starts talking to me. Skillet and her friend, they're just hanging out, chilling. This friend's talking to me, asking me like, oh, like, is that your friend? You guys know each other? I'm like, yep, that's my friend. And we're just talking, and Skillet and I just keep looking at each other, and she's like telling me like, you know, like pretty much like, we're gonna leave soon, like, don't worry, you know? So he's just talking and he's like super nice. In my head, I'm thinking like, oh my God, he is so nice. Like, and he doesn't even like want anything, and he's being nice, asking me if I want anything to drink, and he's asking me this. A child's mentality. I'm not thinking like how I would right now, where I would think like if I was in my age, but in my younger selves, I'd be like, get the away from me. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Ew, you're gross. What are you doing? You're nasty. Where's your wife? He's just being sweet, getting me my root beer and asking me how school is, and that when he used to go to school, he hated it, and like his mom would make him, and just he's trying to relate. He's trying to act like a friend. He's talking a little bit more. Then he tells me like, oh, do you like playing games or anything? And I'm like, no, not really. Like, my brothers do, but not me. So now he's building like this kind of like trust, and he's trying to learn more information about me. Probably trying to see like, does she have family? Does she have, you know, brothers and stuff? He's like, oh yeah, like, how old are your brothers? Now, I was young and dumb, but not all the way dumb. And I was like, oh, he's 18, and my other one, he's 20, and I'm making them older than what they are because I am scared in my head of like, if I tell him their real ages, he's like, they're not gonna do anything. But if I put it in his head that I have older brothers, he's probably gonna be like, oh, okay, I can't do anything with her because they'll probably come out and like kill me, right? When I tell him I have older brothers, he's like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's cool. Are your parents still married? Again, he's trying to figure out more about me, even though I know part of me is naive and is like, oh, he's just talking to me. no, this person is a predator, and he's building trust, and he's trying to see like if people care about me or just information, right? Do you want to go to my room and like maybe I can show you how to play, so when you play with your brothers and stuff, like you're not like lost or anything, like, you know? And I'm like, oh no, I'm fine. He's like, I'm not like a weirdo or anything. Like, I just want to like, you know, hang out with you. Like, you seem pretty cool. Like, you're like super mature for your age. Like, you're like really cool. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Like, yeah. And he's like, do you have a boyfriend or anything? Like, you're so pretty. I'm like, you really think so? Because I always felt ugly, right? I always felt like, who would like me, you know? So I'm like, you really think so? And he's like, yeah. He's complimenting me a bunch. I had told him like, no, I didn't want to go to his room, right? So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's cool. Like, I can bring it out here. Like, you want me to bring it out here? And in my head, when he says that, I was like, oh my God, like he really doesn't want to do anything like that with me. Like, you're so stupid, Lex. No, you're not, because you know, like, okay, this is the pervert, this is the pervert, this is the pervert. You know, you somewhat know, right? So I'm like, yeah, like if you bring it out here, he's like, okay, you want to like help me? Yeah, sure. Like, you're just gonna bring it out here? Yeah, like I'll bring it out here. You wanna help me? Like, come on, like it's a lot. Like, we won't even be in the room. Like, we're just gonna bring it out here. We're gonna have fun, and Skillet can play with us and all that. Huh, Skillet? Skillet can't hear us because of how far we are to them. But she's like, huh? Yeah, yeah. I don't know if she heard. That enough was confirmation for me. We had been talking for a while. Like, we were hanging out with them for like, let's say like an hour plus, right? So he had built up some trust with me where in my naive brain, if he wanted to do something, he would have already done it. And there was a lot of other things going on. When I tell you guys, it's really hard to break down like every single little detail. I don't have enough time to fit it into my story time. If I ever do a book like I want to, I will try and be so detailed that you really feel like you're in that room, down to the carpet. We had been talking for a while, and the friends that were there too, because it wasn't just them, there was friends too, were there. They would be like, what? Man, like, she's too young, bro. Like, stop talking to her, bro. Like, so I thought I was like in a safe spot where I'm like, okay, they know we're young. They know that we are too young for them to talk to. Like, if anything were to go down, like those friends would like say something, right? I'm thinking all these things in my head. People are probably like, you really think about all those things in my head? Yes. Like, there's a few people that I love that are close that always say that to me, and it's so insulting when they're like, you really thought about all those things? Yeah, my brain is constantly going, and that's why I'm so tired. Even if I get like 10 hours plus sleep, I feel like my brain is so exhausted. I don't get to like turn it off. Like, it's a constant thing, and it's constantly running. I constantly feel like it's just so much. Skillet saying like, oh, what? Oh yeah, right? He's like, you see, let's go get it. Still kind of like contemplating, but at the same time, I keep thinking like, damn, this guy is so attractive. Like, so attractive. Like, super attractive. Hazel eyes, caramel skin complexion, kind of buff, a nice like fade going on, super just like cute, big lips, long eyelashes, and is paying attention to me. The Faya one that everyone is always saying is talking to him. To him. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And so I'm like rubbing my hands on my pants. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. My hair kind of drifts over like this, where I'm like, oh yeah. He kind of grabs it out of my face, and he's like, hey, come on. And so I'm like, okay. So I get up, I go, and I leave the door open. I leave the door open because I'm like, I don't want to close it. And he kind of just looks back at me, and he's like, why are you tripping so hard? And I'm like, I'm not. And he's like, because you're cute and stuff, but like, you're young. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, like, you know. So he's trying to make me feel like what I'm thinking is like, oh, I never would. So I'm kind of like, haha. So we get in the room, and right away I go to disconnect the game, and he's like, whoa, like, you gotta be careful with it, you can break stuff. And so I'm like, oh, like I can break it. So I get kind of nervous, like, oh my god, like I already messed up. So I just sit on his bed because I'm trying to get out of his way, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to ruin his, you know, electronics or anything like that. My heart is beating out of my chest. So he starts to disconnect stuff and like folding it all nice, but taking like his sweet time. And I ask him, like, is there anything like I can help you with? And he looks back, he's like, nah, shawty, it's good, I got it. And I'm like, okay. So I go on my phone, and I'm unblocking and blocking the ex back and forth, and he's like, can we please talk? I really want to talk to you. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, I'll never do that again. I'm really sorry. So even though this cochino was entertaining me, I still had like a lot of feelings for the ex. And you're probably thinking like, oh my God, Alexis, oh my God, I want to pull you through this. And just, it's really hard. It's really hard. When I look back at so many things, I want to beat the crap out of myself, okay? Where I'm like, run. You should have ran. What's wrong with you? You wanted it because you keep going. You wanted it. You wanted it. I don't know how to explain it. You don't understand. It's so hard until you were in that spot. So I was messaging him and I was like, okay, like we can talk. Because he kept saying like, can I explain? Can I explain? And so I was like, okay, we can talk. We got to name this pendejo. I'll call him Brandon. Brandon looks back and he's like, who are you texting? Your boyfriend? Yeah, my friend. And he starts laughing. He's like, all right, you're gonna help me with this? So he has everything unplugged and I'm like, yeah, I can help you. So I help him take the things to out towards like their living room area. And so I'm not thinking anything bad. I'm like, oh, like, holy crap. Like, it was all in my head, like, you know, whatever. Skillet is in the back doing whatever she's doing. I can still hear her, like she's talking and stuff. So we're getting everything, we're setting up everything, and we literally start playing a game. Like, we literally start playing a game and I'm like, oh my God. So he's like, so you got to play like this. And like, you know, when you and your brothers play this, like they're going to think this. So he's like teaching me like how to like cheat or like cheat codes or whatever. And I'm like, playing with him, having fun with him. I started noticing like he was scooting closer and closer and closer to show me how to play the game. And I'd be like, oh yeah. And I would kind of like scoot back to like get comfortable. He would kind of like see it and kind of like grin, but like try to be cute with the grin. He needed to get something out of his room. And he's like, oh, like, you want to go get it for me? Like, it's just right here by that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Because, like, it was his turn. So I go in the room to go get it. The door's open. We're now, like, I'm a little bit more comfortable. And if you're watching a scary movie, this is a point where you'd be like, stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. So I go in there and I'm, like, reaching for the item that he had told me to get. So I go and get the item. And I turn back around and he's right there. What are you doing in here? And he has his hand on, like, frame of the door holding it. And he's like, so, like that. Like, he's trying to think of what to talk to me about. And I'm like, so what? You're super mature for your age, man. Like, that's crazy. And I was like, yep. So is this the thing that you wanted? And he's like, yeah, that's it. And he's like waving me, holding on, waving me like that was the other hand. Where he's like trying to show off like this muscle area. And my eye glanced to it and he kind of like pops it. Like, so it pops more. And I'm like, okay. So like I squeeze by him. And as I squeeze by him, I feel like his body come like right behind me too. So I'm like, oh, okay. And so I sit on the couch this time because we were sitting by the floor, right? So I sit on the couch this time and I'm like, Skillet, are you ready to go? And I go like that. And he's like, oh no, like I scared you away. And I was like, no, like we just have to go. Like we have somewhere else to go. And he's like, oh, like where are you guys gonna hang out? Like what are you guys gonna do after? And I'm like, I don't know. She wanted to do something. He's like, oh yeah, like where? Trying to get like information. And I'm like, she just wanted to go somewhere. And now I'm starting to just be in my head and I'm so mad at myself. I'm like, why do you do this? Why do you put yourself in weird situations? Why do you do this? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, honestly, like, what is wrong with you? Then you want to complain and then you want to be like, oh, poor me, poor me. So I'm like in my head fighting with myself, okay? And I'm literally like not listening to anything he's saying. I'm literally fighting with Lex in my head. You good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You want a glass of water or anything? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Skillet! And I'm like screaming again. And I keep screaming her name like pretty loud where I think I'm kind of like freaking him out because he's probably like, what the heck? Like, I was just playing games with you. Like, what's going on? So he's kind of like, what? Like, what the heck's going on? Like, why is she freaking out? So I scream Skillet's name. She comes out and her gloss, lipstick, whatever is kind of like smeared. And I'm like, can we go? And she's like, yeah, you good? What's wrong? And I was like, I just want to go already. She's like, okay, yeah. And so she starts getting ready. She tells her friend, whatever, hey, we're gonna get going. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Do you need me to take you anywhere? And she's like, no, like we're good. So we start walking out. I don't even know like how to feel because I'm like, am I reading too much into it? It wasn't even that serious. He was just being nice and I'm just overthinking it. So she's like asking me over and over like what's going on. And I'm like, nothing. She's like, did he make you feel weird? Like he can be kind of like handsy. And I'm like, no, he wasn't handsy. He just, and I told her like what he did when I went to go get the game. And she's like, yeah, he's annoying. You're reading too much into it. Like you'll be good. But I feel like where I have been violated, like that was enough to like set me off. So she tells me like, are we gonna go to Robert's party now? And I'm like, I don't really want to go. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, like I don't know, like I just feel weird. I feel like, honestly, I felt like I was trying to seek attention, and then when I would get it, I'd get like freaked out, and it was like too soon, too fast. I feel like it was like the ex, and it was Joe, ex Joe, ex Joe, ex Joe, and then Brandon, and I just like, it was just, I felt like, oh my god, like this isn't normal. And I was like trying to explain to her, and she's like, it's fine. Like you don't have to be like, pretty much I didn't have to be anal. That like, how do you think people get to experience things? You think that they are just like, people just fall at them, or like, how do you think it happens? It's fine to like, you know, to feel what you're feeling. It's normal. Like, how do you think people date? Like, guys do this all the time. Like, they talk to so many girls, and she's like, the ex talks to how many girls? Like, how do you think it happens? I'm just like, I don't like this feeling. She's like, you're just too much in your head. Like, you freak out, you overthink everything, you're too much in your head, you need to quit. And so I'm like, okay, I just like, I feel weird, I feel nasty. And she's like, it's normal, it'll pass. And I'm like, no, like I don't want this feeling. And she's like, so you're just gonna be with one person for the rest of your life and that's it? And I'm like, I guess. I feel weird. I feel weird even talking about it because it makes me feel nasty. So she tells me to chill out, that we're not gonna go until like late, where like the party's gonna die down. I felt like so much had happened already in that short a period of time. I was really freaking out, you guys. I was really thinking like, oh my god, like this is too much already. Like this is way too much. Like I need a break. It's too, I'm overstimulated. This is too much. This is too much. So we ended up going back to Tommy's house because I was like, no, I want to go to Tommy's place. Like, I don't even want to go to her place because I want to feel comfortable. I want to go back to like what I feel like is home so I can feel like normal. Like I needed to see my brothers. I needed to do something because I felt weird. We're at Tommy's house and she's like telling me that she needs to, you know, freshen up and she needs to get home for a little bit. That like if I'm going to be okay and like to not overthink it. She's like, stop overthinking everything because you're never going to have fun and you're going to be that one person who dies who has only been with one person for the rest of her life. And I'm like, her little talks really didn't work with me. So I was like, yeah, like I didn't care. Like in my head, I'm like, I don't care. Like I don't care. And someone commented, Alexis, why did you care so much about, but you never thought about it this way. You were scared to catch something from another person, but the ex would be with other girls. He would have catch something and could have given it to you. You were 100% correct. But I was so naive that when we would be intimate, he would be like, oh, like, no, like we didn't do that stuff. Like I lied. And he would lie to me in the moment to make me feel comfortable so that we could do stuff. And then after, and like we bring it up, I'd bring it up later, whatever. I'm like, oh, so you really didn't? And he'd be like, oh, why you want to talk about it? And so like, I'd be like, or I would try not to think about it. I'd put it in the back of my head. And in that moment where he was just with me, I would literally tell myself, it's okay that he slept with so-and-so and so-and-so, but he's still with me. I would have that stupid mindset of like, but he still came back to me. And that's not okay. That's not okay. And Tommy and my mom would take me to my appointments to like do like my checkups and stuff like that. Not every so often as I should have, but they would take me and I would get checked and like, you know, swab my mouth, all of that, look down there, everything. So I was okay. So when he would tell me certain things, I'd be like, oh, like I believed him, and he'd be like, oh, they just did stuff to me. So I'd be like, oh, okay. Or he'd be like, only did stuff to them, or like we only did like this stuff, or like it wasn't like this hot dog and donut, it was like this, or stupid things where I'm telling you, where it's like I was so naive, y'all. Moments, I know this is like very like oversharing, where we would be intimate and I felt like that toxic love. I'd be like, it's okay. It's okay that he's talking to so-and-so and I still haven't confronted him about it because in this moment, he's mine. Do you know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. It's so hard to like your brain, like my brain, and I say your brain because like I know other people can relate. Your brain is literally like on fog mode. And like, it's so hard to see what's in front of you. And you're just like, that's what I'm telling you. Like if this stuff was done now, it'd be different. It'd be so different. Like I'm so much stronger, wiser, and you tolerate a lot because you think that's what you deserve, but you don't. You tolerate a lot because you see others tolerating and you're like, oh, so this must be normal. So you do the same. You tolerate a lot because you think this person is like who you're supposed to be with forever because they were your first this and your first that, or like your second or third or fourth, and you're like, I have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. The world is so huge. Like no, it's not possible. So I go back. She says that she has to go home, freshen up, and I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm hoping like, oh my god, I hope we don't hang out later because it's just too much for me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to hang out with her. I don't want to be friends with her. And I'm just thinking like, I don't want to have these kind of friends. I don't want to be put in situations because I feel like I was not strong enough to be like, no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. Because I always wanted to people please, or I didn't want to be left out, or I felt like I was lame or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I just cared way too much and I shouldn't have. She left. She's out doing whatever she's doing. I still have not talking to my mom, seen my mom, anything like that. So at that time, I'm also thinking about my mom. Also thinking about like what's going on, what is she doing, what is she thinking, so many emotions going on. I'm thinking about the peaches. I'm still thinking about like, okay, Baltimore. I call my brothers and I asked their dad if I can talk to them. I talked to my brothers. I guess they could hear it in my tone and they're like, what's wrong? They're so tiny and it's so crazy when I see them now or we talk now, and there's just so much. Their dad asks me if I wanted to go and do something, you know, spend time, because he knows that my brothers have been missing me, or I can drop them off over there so you can see them. All right, hang up with them. I feel like I could never like be by myself sometimes. I called Baltimore because Baltimore said she needed to talk to me, right? So I called Baltimore and she answered within like the second ring, and I'm like, hello? Because I thought like I had hung up or something, or they had like did something. And she's like, oh my God, Alexis. I hate when she says my name like that, or when anyone calls me Alejandra or says my name wrong. Like, it's Alexis, it's not Alejandra. Like, I don't understand where the Alejandra comes in. I would literally hear them say Alexis. I'm asking her like, is everything okay? She's like, are you okay? Yeah, why? And she's like, I heard what was going on and just want you to know that you can still work with us. And I'm like, no, I'm okay, like I quit. She's like, oh yeah, you did? I was like, yeah, like I quit. I don't know why I said it. I was just like, yeah, I quit. And she's like, well, I was hoping that you could still help. And I was like, no, I don't want to go over there. And she told me that the peaches had left, that she stayed behind. What? And she's like, yeah, I stayed behind. I just didn't want to do it anymore. Like, it's just too much. I understand why you don't want to work with us anymore. And she kept saying with us, like if she was paying me out of her pocket or something. And she's like, well, if you want, I can tell Mr. Peach that you don't want to work anymore, and I can have him send me the money so I can give you a check, and that will be that. And so you won't have to see them. And I'm like, well, where are they? And she's like, they went on the thing, the business trip, whatever. Okay. And I was like, yeah, like that would work perfect, because I was thinking like how I was going to get, you know, the money and stuff. She's like, yeah. So she was being super nice. And I don't know if it was a pregnancy or if it was because like she was trying to like clean up after their mess or what. But she was like, you think you can help me before you decide to like quit so you can get the extra, you know, hours and stuff? Like, I would really like your help. I'm moving in with Mr. Peach. And I was like, what? Like, I thought you said. She's like, yeah, I'm moving with, like, she was trying to like gloss over it. Like, I said, but I say it. Do you want to help me or not? She was like, I'll make sure that you get the money and stuff. Like, I'll tell Mr. Peach. And I'm like, I don't know, because I had told him I never wanted to talk to him again. Like, what if he doesn't want to pay me for helping you? And like, I really do need the money. And she's like, well, yeah, like I'll pay you if he doesn't want to pay or anything. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, she was so nice. Naive Lex was like, attention, yes, attention. And probably thinking like, really? Like, it was bad. Like, I get so mad at myself. There's sometimes I don't even want to share some parts of the story time because I'm like, oh my God, like how I feel so stupid. So I'm kind of iffy. She's asking me like, when's as soon as I can go? And I'm like, today. She's like, no, I need more time. Oh, okay. She's like, yeah, unless like you want to come right now, but I was thinking of having the check ready for you. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, I still have to go with Skelly. I was really trying to get out of it. So I'm in Tommy's room and I hear someone walk through the door, and it's Tommy. And I'm like, oh, for a second I thought it was gonna be my mom, and she was gonna be like, you can't go, right? So it's Tommy, and she's like, hey, someone came looking for you earlier. And I was like, oh yeah? Who? And I kept thinking like, oh, it was gonna be Joe or something, but she said someone, so I'm thinking like it can't be Joe, because then she would have been like, that boy came looking for you, but she didn't. She said someone, so I'm like, who? So she proceeds to tell me that it was a lady named Bubbles, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, she came? She's like, yeah, she said she needed to talk to you, that you haven't been answering her phone calls and that she's worried. She's like, I had to try and convince her not to call the cops or anything like that because she was worried. She's like, call her, tell her not to be coming around my house anymore. And I'm like, okay. I get a little bit excited and I'm like, what? That's crazy. Like, I wonder like what happened, like why she wanted to like come over, whatever, you know? I call her, you guys, and I'm like so freaking like nervous, like if I did something wrong and I'm like, she's gonna like hate me or something. So I call her and she's like, Alexis, Bubbles, She's like, yes. And so she starts kind of like laughing, I guess, because how he sounded. And she's like asking me like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And she tells me that she wants to sit down and talk to me and that me and Joe need to sit down. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I don't want to do that. I don't want to ever talk to Joe. And Joe doesn't want me to talk to you. So I think it'd just be best if we don't talk to each other for a while. And she says, I agree. My heart hurt. Even though I was the one to be like, I don't want to talk to you no more, blah, 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 blah. She was like, same. And she's like, I think it'd be best for both, because pretty much telling me that Joe was kind of getting celoso of our relationship and that her son comes first and she needs to focus on him. I was like, okay, great. Well, thanks for coming over to see, you know, to make sure that I wasn't dead. But please don't come over next time. It caused problems and I really appreciate everything you have done. Bye. And I hung up. She's calling, and I just ignored her. I was bawling like a baby. Because I felt like, oh my God, she's abandoning me too. Oh my God. This day feels like it's going on forever. Oh my God. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I honestly just wanted to get in trouble by my mom and be told that I couldn't do anything just so that I can just sleep and sleep. Even though I shouldn't have needed a reason to just say no. Like I should have just been like, I'm not going, and that's it. I hated that I always felt like I had to, or I could never say no. It sucks because I still deal with I can't say no. Like I really hate it. Like even before anyone has to ask me to do something, I'll be like volunteering myself. Like for what? Like what are you doing? Why are you volunteering yourself? No one asked you and now you have to do it because you said it. Like what's wrong with you? I hate that I get like that. Like it's so weird. I block her. I'm literally crying because I'm so hurt, okay? Tommy asks me like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Like all annoyed. And I'm like, I just quit my job. Like I just didn't know what to say. So I was like, I just quit my job. And she's like, okay, well, if you're hungry, there's food over there. Time goes on. It feels like forever, you guys. I even take a freaking nap and I wake up to Skillet like blowing up my phone and I answer and she's like telling me like, are you ready? Like we're gonna have so much fun tonight. And I'm like, mm-mm. And she's like, why are you being lame? Like she was getting so upset with me. And I was like, I'm just not feeling it. I didn't understand at the time that I was gonna go through a moment of like full on depressed mode, like what I was going through. And in a way I was probably channeling my mother because I didn't know it at the time, but my mom was about to do some like time and I didn't know it. Was like, oh, she's just missing. My mom would literally just go off and leave, and then she'd get a call, we'd get a call like, oh yeah, I'm all the way over here gambling, doing something, and we'd be like, what the I didn't know if I was channeling my mom or what, but my mom would go through waves and I feel like I was already adapting to her waves where like I would do some really dumb stuff and then the high was over and I just wanted to like everything has been going on too, right? And I was thinking about that Brandon guy and I was thinking like how it could have gone left. Like even though it didn't fully go left, I was feeling already like, I did something mal, you know? So I was listening to her and she was like, oh my God, you're so lame. I'm gonna go pick you up and you better go. Like no ifs or buts, blah, blah, blah. I'm like telling her, I'm like, no, Skillet, like I just like really don't want to. Like I don't feel like going. And she's like, come on. And I heard that the ex might be there so you can get him jealous because this boy that I have gone to school with since elementary was going to be there and he had a like super major crush on me and she was telling me that like I could talk to him and get, you know, the ex jealous. I'm like, no, like I don't even like him like that. Like I don't even want to do that. She's like, oh my God, like come on. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to do it. I was like, for what? Or she's like yelling at me. I get a text message from Baltimore asking me if I can be there early in the morning, sharp, because she has a really tight schedule and she needs me there 8 o'clock, very early, no ifs or buts, and that she will have my check and that it had the time added on for that day that I was going to be there too, and that she needed me for a good chunk of time and that if I could make it to let her know right now, and that she's sorry that it's last minute, but she needs me to tell her. And so I write back, okay, I'll be there. So now I for sure can't go with Skillet because I'm like, I'm gonna come back really pendeja and I don't want to, you know, ruin that, and I really need that money because I need to do some stuff with it. I tell Skillet, I'm like, oh no, I can't, like my mom, like I guess she's coming back. It wasn't believable. Skillet just gets so annoyed with me and hangs up. I just decided to stay in and I decided to unblock Joe and the ex because I guess I was like, I'm bored, entertain me, which is so freaking bad and toxic, you guys. If you're going through a similar situation, try and keep yourself busy so that you don't do stuff like that. When I message you guys and you guys ask me like, Lex, what can I do to get over a breakup? Stay busy. Stay so busy that you don't have time to think of them. And I say this because it's not even for relationships, it's for any type of toxic relationship. I had a really toxic friendship where I could not want to check up on this person or do favors for this person because I was trying to people please this person so bad because I wanted them in my life, because I felt like, oh my God, that's another person out of my life. And it was so hard to not like volunteer myself to do stuff for this person. And I know that sounds crazy where you're like, what? Like, that's nuts. It is because it's so easy to get caught up in feeling that sort of high that you get from having love, you know, the endorphin that you get from that. So what you have to do is keep yourself so busy and focus on yourself. Once you start to focus on yourself and love yourself, you will find that you don't want anyone to disrupt that. You don't want to go back to those bad, nasty patterns and you feeling the way that you do. And I've had this conversation with you guys before where I tell you guys to put yourselves first, stop letting people walk over you, stop being this, stop being that. I've had these talks with you guys before, but I feel like it's very important to continue to talk about them because it's really easy for us to forget. It's always easy for us to forget because we want to go back to what feels comfortable. And I feel like a lot of us stay in the comfortable zone because it hurts to grow. Like it really does. It really does. Because when you grow, sometimes you outgrow people and that stings. You don't want to because that feels comfortable, but comfortable is not always good. I unblock them. 30 minutes pass and I get a private phone call. Tommy comes in and tells me they found my mom. And when she says it like that, I like freak out. My eyes get all watery. I'm laughing because it's not funny, but I'm uncomfortable. She tells me to chill out, that like that she didn't mean it that way, that my mom is in jail, but that it's not looking good. So I need to prepare myself, and that she wanted to be the one to tell me before my mom does because she doesn't know how my mom's gonna tell me. And I'm like, great. Now I know where she's at least at, so like that part I won't be freaking out. Like I'd rather my mom be locked up than out and about, because I was always scared that like my mom was going to, we're gonna get a phone call and they're gonna be like, we found her here. She's like preparing me, giving me the talk, and she's like asking me like if I want to get ready so we can go down and see her maybe. And I'm like, okay. I don't know if it works the same or where you're at, but where we're at, we would be able to go in, make an appointment to see her, and then if that time would be up and if we could go back in, if the time was available again, go back in and see her again. I think Tommy could see that like I was kind of like shutting down, and so she's like, get ready and I'll take you to go see her. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, I got some gas money. She's like, I didn't ask you that. And I'm like, okay. I just said it just so that like if I stayed like hours there with my mom, it'd be okay. She's like, and she sounds pretty okay. And so I'm like, okay. We go out there, set up the appointment. She sees my mom first because I guess just like to kind of like talk to her first, so she was angry she could like get it all out. And I don't know, probably ask like, what do I do with Lex? Where does Lex go? She goes in there and I sit out there for like 30 minutes and I'm getting kind of like annoyed because I'm like, that's my mom. Like, why are you taking so long to talk to her? Like, you're really gonna talk it up the whole time? Like, what? Like, I'm all pissed off, right? So then she finally comes out after 30 minutes and then she's like, do you want to talk to her? And I'm like, yeah, that's why I thought we came. She sets the thing so I can see her. I go in there and my mom is kind of like, has like a pissed face off. Like she's all pissed off, right? My mom's like, have you been acting right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, what have you been doing? And I'm like telling her what I was doing. I went here and, you know, did this skillet, this and that. And she's like, anything else? I don't know why my dumbass forgot about Tommy having to pick us up. But I'm like, that's it. And she's like, that's it. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And she's like, don't you get tired? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like y'all, I don't know why I had blocked out what I did. I don't know what I thought. And so I was like, what? It wasn't until my mom started yelling at me that I was like, oh my God, you're so stupid. Like I really forgot. Like dead ass, I forgot. So I was like, oh yeah. She'll go, oh yeah. And I was like, no, like mom, for real, like I really forgot. And she's like, you think I'm stupid? And I'm like, no mom, I really did forget. Like she's like, how can you forget something like that? I was like, I don't know, I really just I really did. She's like, really? Really? You think I'm stupid? So my mom starts threatening that she's gonna get me locked up and that maybe that will straighten me out because I'm over here doing this and that she's gonna see if she can like put me in like kid jail. And I'm like, but why? Like, I didn't do nothing, but why? I was always kind of scared to like go to kid jail because I always thought like they're gonna keep me and they're gonna send me to a fucking group home because they're gonna be like, her mom don't even want her. She don't got no dad. She don't got no family. Like, let's just send her off. Like, I feel like I was gonna get like sent off, right? And some people will be like, well, Lex, maybe that would have been better for you. You know how many people say that like they were abused so much in group homes, and not everyone has a happy ending when it comes to that. So I didn't want to gamble with that, okay? So she's cussing me out. She's yelling at me, right? Tell me why little Lex got up and walked out. As she's screaming at me, I was like, bet. And I just walked out. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I could hear her screaming and I was like, okay. And I walked out and oh my God, I always want to say her name. Tommy is like, you okay? And I was like, she just started yelling at me. I was like, I really forgot about what happened. She's like, really, Alexis? I was like, yeah, really, like I really forgot. And she didn't want to hear me out. And she's like, well, I had to tell her because she's your mom. I was like, yeah, but you could have given me the heads up. And she's like, why couldn't you just be honest? And I was like, I forgot. Like, I literally forgot. And I don't know why I forgot, you guys. I don't know if it's because, like, my freaking brain was running, like, a mile a minute or what. But I honestly, to God, forgot. Like, I really did. I was just, like, I was really stunned. She was too stunned to speak. When she started popping off on me, I was like, what? Like, why are you upset? Like, I thought, honestly, she was going to be, like, really happy to see me. But she was pissed. Tommy's like, how could you forget something like that? And I'm like, I just did. I was like, honestly, like I just did. And she's like, I don't believe you. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I swear to God on everything I love. I swear to God on my unborn children. Okay? Isn't that crazy that I know I didn't have kids? I don't remember. Like, I forgot. Like, I remember, but like I forgot. And she's like looking at me. The bailiff or cop guy is just like, and I'm like, I swear, like I forgot. Like I forgot. I'm like, and if anything, why would you tell her that while she's in there? She's like, why would you walk out? Why would you walk out? And I was like, because I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to her. Like, I don't want to talk to her. Like, I'm glad she's good, but I don't want to talk to her. And she's like, Alexis, you're going to need to talk to her. I was like, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to her. So my mom didn't want to talk to me. She was like, nope, I don't want the visit. Which probably was a good thing because my mom always hurt my feelings. She's very hurtful with words. Like, sometimes my mom didn't even have to hit me. She can just hurt me with words. I'll never forget when she said, stop acting like a little bitch. And I was like, oh, she said, I said, stop acting like one. I didn't call you one. I said, stop acting. And I was like, no. Same thing, y'all. Same thing. She didn't want to talk to me. So Tommy was like, let's go. And I'm like, okay. So I'm mad that Tommy's mad at me because I'm like, you set me up. Like, you've for real set me up. You could have told me that you were going to tell her. So I'm mad. So I don't want to go in the front and go in the back. And I'm just like, I'm pissed because I'm like, how are you going to tell her about the stupid things that I did? And then not even tell me to give me a refresher like, hey, I'm going to tell her, right? When I tell you that a lot of these adults failed me, they failed me. And it's not Tommy's fault fully either for having a teenager who was acting like an adult. But let me tell you, me and Miss Tommy, we partied it the F up, which we shouldn't have because I was a teenager and she was a grown-ass woman. So she's like telling me like, I promised your mom I was gonna keep you out of trouble. Like, I don't want you doing this. Like, I promised your mom. So I think it was like a little bit real for her that she was going to have to take care of me. And that she promised my mom. And she knew that if anything happened to me, that my mom was going to beat her ass. And so she's talking to me. So it's just me and you. She wasn't going to have her kids for this part of time because I guess whatever was going on with her thing, whatever. So it was just going to be me and her. So I was like, okay, just me and you. She's like, just me and you. So I'm going to know where you're going. I'm going to pick you up from your job. I'm going to be like, pretty much she's going to be like the mom while my mom is in jail. So I'm like, okay. Great. And she's like, and we're gonna see what we have to do about your school. I'm like, great. So I'm thinking in my head, because I am pissed because remember I told you guys I don't do good with, what is it called, being told what to do, any of it. Like I'm a little mocosa. We get to the house. She's asking me like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. So Skillet has called me again and she's like, are you gonna come, like, or not? I'm like, no, like my mom really for real is like in trouble and I can't go because Tommy is now going to be my guardian and Tommy says I can't do anything like that. So she's like, you're lying. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like she's literally like pissed off at me. So as I'm talking to Skillet, Tommy comes to the door and she's like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, Skillet. And she's like, well, hang up. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, hey, Skillet, I gotta go. I said hang up. I'm like, so I hang up and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna be like this, like, I'd rather just go with my stepdad because I didn't like how she was coming in hot. And she was like, you sounded like you wanted to hang up on the phone anyways. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't like your approach. So me and her were kind of like, I told her that I am going to babysit for the Voldemort tomorrow and that she can be my ride. She's like, yeah, just go to bed now so that you have enough rest. And I'm like, okay. Next day comes around and Tommy has me up bright and early, boom, 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 knocking on her door because it's her door, remember? I wake up and she's like, didn't you say you had to be there at this time sharp? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, get ready. Come on, I got things to do. And I'm like, okay. So I start getting ready. I text Baltimore. I'm like, hey, is it still good for me to go over? Like, you're sure like the peaches are not there? She's like, yes, it's just me. I have your check and stuff with the time added. Like I need you for this amount of time. And I'm like, okay. She's like, don't be late. Okay, cool. So I get ready and Tommy has like my little breakfast ready and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cute. She tells me that my mom's gonna call later on that I need to answer and that I better not have an attitude. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to talk to her. And she's like, well, you need to talk to her. She needs to make sure that you're good and stuff. You're breathing and all that. I'm like, for what? I get ready. I tell her like, this is where we gotta go. This is like the place and stuff. And she's like, why do you like going over there? Like, don't you stress? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So we're kind of like just like talking about like things that don't matter, right? So I get there. There's no cars or anything like that. So I'm like, is Baltimore even here? Like, where the hell is their car? So I tell Tommy and stuff that I should be done by 5 to pick me up at 5 because that's how much the paycheck, whatever. And then after I need her to like help me catch this, she's like, okay. I'm like, okay. So like I have like a bad feeling, y'all, like a bad feeling in my panza, like something is about to go down. I don't know if it's just like nervousness because I haven't been around the family for a couple of days. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because like I'm working full Voldemort now for that day, what it is, but I'm like, I don't know if it's because like now I feel like if anything does pop off, like my mom is in jail. She for sure cannot come and save me. Even though she couldn't save me like the other times, it's for sure, like a for sure thing. Like she cannot come in and save me. So I knock on the door. She opens the door. She's like, oh, Alexis. And I'm like, and she looks at me and she's like, Alexis. And I'm like, mm-hmm. So we walk in. She's like, oh, te miras bien. And I was like, thank you. She says, you look good. And I'm like, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I walk in and stuff and there is like boxes and boxes. And I'm like, so you really are moving in? She's like, yeah. I hear someone walking upstairs and I'm like, I got kind of like scared, like, oh, what? Like I'm thinking like Mr. Peach, right? Comes down is her man's, her boyfriend that she's been dating for a while. And I look at her and I look at him and then she tells me like, Mr. Peach knows it's fine. That's what she tells me. Mr. Peach knows it's fine. And I'm like, okay. I feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, how am I going to work and that guy be here? Like, it's just so weird. Like, I don't want to do it. And in Mr. Peach's house, it's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So I'm going to leave it there, you guys. I have to leave it there because it has been a minute. I know there was like so much going on, but I'm letting you guys know how it is in my diary entry, all of it. And it is like, it's all over. It's a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed the story time and the makeup look. So this is something very like subtle for me. I really like it. I really like how it looks. Very cute. The curls también, like it just looks very like luminous and pretty. Like look at it. And I feel like the eye's like really soft. You got the wing right here. Looks really nice and just like whoosh. Very pretty. So I hope you guys enjoyed both the story time and the makeup tutorial. Again, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to give me a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.